not something we can manipulate.
Sure. So I think with that we should get into it. If you guys have the video ready, I'm gonna count down again. If you guys just want to confirm.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So this is going to be interesting. I haven't actually watched this run myself or rewatched it. But yeah, gift mode, like Happy mentioned, we start here, and so the really important part about the Ancient Cave speedruns is choosing your party, and we create a party that we can in the main game. So that's one of the few reasons gift mode is so good, other than having, you know, a standard basically for going in here. And yeah, I'm excited because I completely forgot how this run went. I have no idea anymore, but we'll find out. So the basic strategy, like, I mean, there's a couple of things you have to pay attention to in Ancient Cave, and that is that you obviously want to go down and, you know, don't die. Monster types change every floor, basically, like, some get added, some get removed, like, get stronger over time, obviously. And the item pool as well. Like, you start out with an item pool that has really weak weapons and stuff, but the further you go down, the better items you can get, obviously. I start out here by skipping the first 5 floors for some reason, which is a bit unusual. Generally, you want to skip the first 3 floors here because they can't really hold anything very good. But yeah, skipping over the first couple floors, collecting chests after that because you can start finding very crucial items to the run. Like the so-called deadly weapons, which are really essential. They are exclusive to the Ancient Cave, and they will give you an 80% shot to one-shot an enemy that is not Shadow Elemental. So I'm trying to find those here, and oh, Sonic Ring, that's very nice. That's a good one. Gives if you remember the actual speedrun, does give a lot of agility, which is also a very crucial thing here. We bring Artie because he's so fast, obviously. And the more agility you can stack on him, the better it is for you for running away from potential encounters. The first 10 floors are never really troublesome, except for a few cases, but nothing too crucial is happening here.
So how does, I guess, the randomness of like the ranks of the chests that you get, does it get better as you go further on, or is it all the same? I have no idea.
Well, the cave, like I said, every floor you get a couple of more items added to the item pool. And generally you want to try, if you know, okay, my deadly weapons start on floor 4, you want to try to open a little more chest there, because it's more likely for you to get one there than later on, because the cave will just keep throwing in items, of course. And specifically floor 4 to 10 are very crucial for, you know, collecting as much as possible. My PB was already at a point where I'm not even collecting that much. Like, normally if you don't have a sub-hour run, you would like go through floor 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 completely searching for stuff. But at this point, I'm just, you know, kind of gambling, more or less. And what you're banking on, basically, like, on floor 15, the Crucial Decker Blade gets added, so you want to, like, check those floors out very carefully. After that, starting on floor 20, the game adds a lot of trash. So from there, you don't really wanna... You wanna be set by that point, basically. If you're not, you will still open chests, but you really don't want to do that. And starting on floor 50, the game adds really strong items, like really strong weapons and stuff, and there you want to like try to get one of those as well. So that's pretty much the goal for the run, is like, you know, collect until 20, run to 50, and then see what you can get, and then go to the jelly. That's pretty much the ideal way of doing it.
Okay.
Obviously, it's not going to work out that way every time, but, you know, that's the basic strategy behind it.
Yeah. So what's the deal with cores? They're metal slimes, right?
Exactly. So these cores that you see here, they will appear on very, very specific floors in this Ancient Cave. First type, the red cores here, will appear from floor 11 to... Nice, Deadly Sword. They will appear from floor 11 to 13. And basically, you know, you start in level 1, so you're really weak, and in order to go fast, you obviously have to fight. things to get experience, the best way to do that are these cores, and you kind of bank on getting at least one of them here at the start to get 8 levels at once, which is a really fast way of leveling up instead of fighting like, you know, 3 different types of enemies for the same amount of experience. And later on, there will be other floors with a stronger version of these cores that, well, you are going to try to get through this without having to, you know, to fight like 10 or 11 random encounters for the same amount of experience, which saves a lot of time. Unfortunately, yeah, these cores are like metal slimes, so they have a tendency to run away. Fortunately, though, like metal slimes are very hard to hit these cores as well, but fortunately their magic resistance is bugged out, so instead of having ridiculous magic defense, they will just be vulnerable to any spell you cast on them.
That's nice.
So, yeah, they will just die to any attack spell, even if it's the weakest one you have. Doesn't matter. Otherwise, this would be quite the hassle, actually. But yeah, getting past floor 13 here, we got a core, we have a deadly weapon, which is really nice. Agility on Artie, which is very important. And the main things we're looking for right now is basically a healing spell. Unless I missed getting one, which would be insane. And yeah, the Decker Blade is going to get added on floor 15. Now, the boss of this cave has 10,000 HP, and it's basically a damage raise. You have 3 turns to deal that amount of damage, but 10,000 is the number that, you know, Amon has at the end of the game, so, I mean, what the hell, how am I going to deal that amount of damage in 3 turns? The boss also has no weaknesses or anything, so your plan is to use the, set HP reducing IP attacks, like the Decker Blade has Fatal Blow, which will immediately cut off like half the HP of the boss, and with that you're trying to get him down to like a 2k and then burst him down with pure damage, basically. It's really specific on what weapons and things you can use for that. Like the Decker Blade is the really big one because it has Fatal Blow, but there's later on other weapons that can do the same. Yeah, getting a Decker Blade there is ridiculous. Generally, if you get it that early, that's a very, very good thing. Very, very good thing. Like, statistically, you probably find a Decker Blade every 3 runs. And even then... even then, like, getting the other things to actually complete the run is still up in the air, so... yeah, that's a very good setup right here.
I want to point out that it's amazing that we actually get to see Magus webcam reactions when he finds stuff on this video.
I don't find it that amazing, but yeah.
You want to talk about the party that you select, and specifically the party that you don't select?
Oh yeah, sure. Now, yeah, like I said, you can select your party freely, which is really nice, because Decker is obviously the most powerful character you can get in this game. He's stronger than any other character, and he has the Decker Blade, which makes him a lock for this. Like, unfortunately, you are stuck with Maxim. Maxim is good and all, but he does lack a lot of things. Like, he's not really that powerful. He can cast spells, but they are not that good. So, but you're stuck with him. He has the Deadly Sword at least, so that's good. Now Artie is a lock as well because he's just the fastest. So if you get into a pinch, like if you have an enemy you have to get past that, you know, is in the way, and the only way is running away from that, you want Artie because he's the fastest, and you will boost your party agility by a lot. Now the 4th slot here goes to Guy, because there is an item here that in the cave that is the Gady's Blade that you can get in a blue chest. What blue chests are, I'm going to explain that a little later, but you can get the Gady's Blade, and that basically, combined with the Decker Blade, already guarantees you the kill. So all you need is those 2 items, and you got the kill on the Jelly, which is amazing. And that is really the only reason why you select Guy as 4th party member. Safety-wise, Salon would probably actually be a better choice, because she has way more stuff she can equip. Guy has the big downside of actually not being able to equip a whole lot of things. So, besides the Gady's Blade, he has like 2 other weapons he can use for the Jelly, and that's it. Whereas Salon, she can cast spells, she has a couple of jewels or armor she can equip that is very useful, she has a ton of weapons she can use. So she's definitely the safer pick, but she's not quite as powerful as Guy is. And yeah, Tia and Lexus, who are left over, basically, they are just generally weak, and that's why we don't pick them. Like, Lexus is good in casting spells, but really slow for what he is. And Tia just has no HP at all, so she will die immediately, basically. But yeah, we also picked up a Deadly Rod just now. So we got 2 deadly weapons, which is really nice to go down in this cave. This is amazing, watching this, actually. I wish I could get this lucky live on stream, Kappa.
So, sort of what's like the ideal setup? Like, what do you need, either minimally or what would be the best, somewhere in between, of like what you have to get?
So yeah, like I said, minimally, you really only need the Decker Blade and the Gades Blade. They both cost like your whole IP bar, so you would need an encounter to farm IP on. But if you get that and just can rush down to the jelly, that's that. You got yourself a kill, like guaranteed, 100%. A solid setup, really. Like, you always want to have the Decker Blade in there, but there's stuff like, you know, you can find an attack buff spell called Trick, which was always good. The deadly weapons, if you uncurse them with an item called Curse Lifter, that is also exclusive to the cave. They also have HP cutting attacks, which is really nice for the jelly. There's a couple of 3x IP weapons that I mentioned in the Lufia run earlier that you can get from Maxim. And there's items called the Mythblade is very good. That also has an HP cutting attack. There we go. There's an old sword you can get. All of these things are really good. There's a bunch of things. Like in the very early floors, you can find elemental rings, which will boost your magic power for that element. So that's really good for Artie. You can find Zap for Artie, which is a very powerful light spell. There's a whole bunch of things, really. It's just a matter of actually getting it all together. Like, the Decker and Gades Blade are the ideal solution, but beyond that, you need a couple of things to fall into place, really. Like, you can't really say if you get a Decker Blade and a Mythblade, alright, I'm gonna kill the jelly for sure. It still depends on damage rolls at that point, so with the Decker and Gades Blade, you have to guarantee, basically, which is the ideal scenario. But yeah, so far, it's looking smooth. We've got a healing spell, Strong, which is good. Like, you do either want to have Strong or Champion in the cave here. There's also Stronger, which is nice, but it's... the problem with this is that you're relatively limited in your MP when you go through this. So, Strong is very nice for actually healing up, because it costs so little MP, and Artie will heal basically the same amount as with Stronger, which costs like 5 MP more. So it's really nice to have that as a healing spell compared to Stronger. Champion is obviously the strongest heal, so that is really good for the later stages of the Ancient Cave. But so far everything is going really smoothly. I even got a blue core here, which was just in the way. We're almost at floor... We're past floor 30 at like 11-19, which is nuts. And we have a good amount of items. So what I'm gonna do now is, because I have everything ready, I'm basically going to try to skip all the way to 60. I'm not remembering quite well if that actually worked out or not, but we'll find out. Oh yeah, starting with the blue cores, like the red cores give 2000 experience, which is really great for the stage. Like on 31 to 34 you have the blue cores here, which will actually give 11,000 experience. So you only really need one red core, but as soon as you hit the blue cores, if you can get them, you always wanna hit them up. Like, if you get one red core, you don't want to fight another core because that wastes time. You won't get any, you know, you might get 2 level ups if you get one more, but that costs so much time, and it's absolutely not necessary to get that one. It doesn't do really much for you. So yeah.
What final levels do you need?
Well, what do you could do it on level 1, really, if you wanted to, but...
Oh, wow.
Generally what you want by floor 50 is like level 25-ish, because that makes you safe against most AoE attacks that you will encounter in a cave. You can do less. Ideally, you'll do more if you can get it in a speedy fashion from cores, but that's obviously, you know, wishful thinking. So yeah, around the 25-ish is a good measure. Most of the time you'll end a run on like 29, 30, 31, around there. I've had runs end on 42 because I had to fight a lot of enemies that blocked my way in hallways, so that can happen too. But for now, yeah, it's basically just about, at this point, it's just about, you know, knowing how the enemies move, not do that, because you don't want to fight additional enemies. Oh yeah, starting here, very nice. Yeah, it's pretty much about knowing how the enemies move in this cave, and starting here on floor 37, 38, 39, you can find these assassins, which are generally not that dangerous, but they can get in your way really fast. Because they move to 2 tiles for every one you move, so you gotta be cautious. And if you spawn in a room with assassins, you might just have to fight them. So yeah, that's what ended up happening here, unfortunately. But that's a minor thing, really. At this point, the really dangerous part is going to come at floor 44. Where we can actually start finding the upgraded version Ninja, which is actually really dangerous. These guys are just annoying, really. Like, you will get past them almost no matter what, even if you're under-leveled, but they just waste a little bit of time. The ninjas can straight up kill you. There's so many of them. So much time that can be saved.
So much time.
Just to point it out real quick, I mean, you could obviously see that dodging enemies in the cave is a lot more trickier than in the normal game run, because you do not have the tools to stun enemies, so you cannot just stun them and walk past them. You actually have to dodge around them, which is also the reason for not being able to run away from ninjas or assassins or anything, because they are way too fast.
Oh yeah, I'm actually deciding to equip my deadly weapons right here. I held out because they are cursed, like I said, and you can't unequip them, and they have no IP if you don't uncurse them. So I'm basically stuck with dead weight for the jelly if I don't get a curse lifter. That's why I held out for a little bit, just to keep my options open for the jelly, but right now I need it to save time. In order to save time, I need to equip them and to just quickly one-shot enemies if I can.
So about IP, does it scale up with your level, or does it stay the same? So say you're at level 1, you take a bunch of damage, you're at 80% IP, and then you get to level 25. Will it still be the same, or does it change?
IP gain is always the same because you have a stat that is called Guts, and every character's Guts stat will never increase. Like, Maxim, I believe, has 100 Guts, so he'll always gain IP at 100% rate, basically. A character like Artie, for example, has 60 Guts, so he will get less IP from getting attacked than any other character, which is slightly annoying, but that's how it is. It will never go up. You can find items to increase your Guts, though. Like, some jewels will increase your Guts, and an item called Brave will increase Guts by 3, so that's how you can increase IP gain. But it's not really a big thing, since we're so under-leveled. AoE attacks later on will fill up our IP in no time, basically, if we actually need to farm it, so yeah, that shouldn't be an issue. Alright, so right now from 41 to 44, we can find the green cores, which are the next upgraded version of cores. And they throw them in relatively early here because, as you remember, the blue cores gave you 11,000 experience, the green cores will give you 33,000 experience. So you can actually get up to like level 30 here in no time if you get like 3 of them, which is really, really handy. Ideally, you want to have like 2, probably, of them, in order to be able to survive ninjas for sure, but unfortunately, I don't seem to find any here.
Oh.
Nah. Still getting a blue one at this point is still good. It's still good for 11k. Like, that's still a level up, which is really, really crucial at this point, because like I said, the ninjas coming up are the really, really big threshold for this. Like, once we get past floor like 50-ish, the enemies become a lot more manageable in this cave. Because the thing is that after floor 50 there will be a lot more enemies that are not only like 1 tile big, but more than like two tiles, maybe 4 tiles, there's variation on that. But you can manage this a lot easier than these 1-tile enemies, because they can just they have a hard time sneaking up on you. So yeah. The levels are pretty much only for ninjas at this point. I'm getting a lot of cores here though. I like it.
I want to talk a little bit about Mr. Sully, and he doesn't appear in the normal game.
Oh yeah, in the normal game we actually completely ignore capsule monsters, but here and if you start in gift mode, you get all your capsule monsters for free, and you have to have one. If you have a capsule monster, the game forces it on you. You can't just say, all right, I'm not gonna use a capsule monster. You have to have one out. And we use Sully here, which is the hard elemental capsule monster, basically. Mainly for 2 reasons. There is others that are probably like just as viable as Sully, but Sully has the potentially highest damage output on the jelly, which will probably not come into play in this run, because I'm going to get really good equipment, I believe. But that's a really good option that you have. Like, you know, Sully can just punch you out of it if you are short on damage. And additionally, Sully has a really big HP pool, so he can actually, if you are forced into encounters, soak up a lot of damage compared to other capsule monsters, which is actually really, really nice. The only other capsule monster that can compare to Sully is pretty much Darby, which is the Shadow Elemental capsule monster, because Darby has an attack that can instantly kill enemies, which is also very nice, but yeah, he cannot quite soak up as much damage as Sully can. And the other nice thing about Sully is, like, every capsule monster, once it gets hit, has a chance to flee the battle. Sully will never do that. Like, okay, he will do it on level 1, because if he gets hit, he has like 1 HP left, but he will generally never escape the battle, so he will always be a target. And that being said, if you get hit by an AoE attack, Sully will also soak up a little bit of that damage as well, so that's really, really nice. Because no matter what the AoE attack is, except for like ninjas that can use Knife Thrower, which will not split the damage, everything else will split their damage in 5 then, so that's very, very useful. Kind of a bad floor here, but yeah.
Oh, so how does it work if you stepped onto the stairs but you're surrounded by enemies? Do you have to go through every battle before you go through the stairs?
Unfortunately, enemies are prioritized compared to stairs. I wish it was the other way around, but sadly it's not. But you can see that it's very important to actually have the levels there and the agility on Artie to escape before you get hit, or even survive a couple of hits.
By the way, in that one room where Magus just ran into the bush, that was to check for ninjas. That's like a common method to do it. If you enter a new room, just run into the wall to see if a ninja comes running, because if you can actually choose to go the other way then and try to find the stairs some other way, or you can actually try to get them from the side. But if you just run into a room, they might get you from the side or from behind, and that's really bad.
Yeah, so now we're on 51, and from here on out, on these floors there's still a lot of teleporters, which are really, really annoying. But it gets a lot more manageable from this point onward, because you already saw the big dinosaur. There's a behemoth right in the bottom left corner right now. Those type of enemies, they are way easier to handle, like dodging them, than other, like, you know, one-tile enemies like teleporters. That being said, we will still find teleporters in this run, I think. Like, I remember my floor 70 not being that great, so. Oh yeah, coming back to blue chest, we just opened one. So what do blue chests do? So the original Ascent of the Ancient Cave, like, you can go here in a normal playthrough of the game. Like, you can just sail to Gruberic, what Feral did in the speedrun, buy sleep balls, you know, and you can go into the Ancient Cave if you want to. What you can do is, if you go in here and open a blue chest, you can actually take that item out. If you escape with an item called Providence, you can just, you know, basically escape anytime that you want right now. It basically works like an escape in the main game for a dungeon. And if you got a blue chest item, you can take it out into the game, actually. And the blue chest items generally are really powerful. And they are unique to actually, well, except the Gades Blade and a couple of jewels that you can get from drops, but mostly unique to the cave, actually. So there's a lot of good things you can find here and take into the main game. For now, we're cruising now. We're cruising. I'm starting collecting a little bit here again, because we are past floor 50, and now powerful weapons get added to the item pool. So, in order to get an item that will enable me to kill the jelly, like for sure, like I have the Decker Blade, which is great, but you know I need something to support that. So, in order to find something like that, I'm starting to collect again. So ideally, I would already have that yet by now, but unfortunately, that's not the case. So I'm kind of looking for, ideally, a Lizard Blow right now, or a blue chest, like a Gades Blade. Like I said, Zap is really nice. That is good, very good for RD. It's the most powerful spell you can get in the game, so that'll deal quite a good amount of damage. But yeah, good one.
The double decker.
Yeah, this run, like, generally also, I don't know. Rewatching this, it's really amazing how few enemies blocked my path so far. Like, generally you'll end up in floors where there's at least 2 or 3 enemies that will block your way in some way or another, but this one had like the one floor where I had to go in between the enemies on the stairs, and that was pretty much it, almost.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I had to fight 2 assassins, but apart from that, that's the pretty rock-solid RNG so far. And yeah, here on floor 57 to 61, we get the last variation of cores, which are called no cores, and they give 55,000 experience each, and I got 2 of them, which gives me all the levels I need for those, basically. Very nice. At this point, it's really like, I'm just looking at my IP bars, and that's really the only thing that I gotta get filled up, and find 1 item and we're golden.
I would imagine this is the case, but do you have troubles when you do extended attempts that, like, they blend together and you kind of forget who's got what?
For sure, for sure. It happened more than once already that I thought I had a Curse Lifter, for example. I went to the jelly, and it was the run before that that I got a Curse Lifter. Oh, I thought I had a healing spell, and I actually don't have a healing spell at all. They do blend together at some point, yeah, if you do extended attempts, for sure. So yeah, right now, just on the lookout for, really, the weapon for Guy. That is kind of the issue with taking Guy, like I said. Like, with Solon, I would have probably found something that I could have used, which would not guarantee the kill. With Guy, you have like these 2 weapons that will pretty much guarantee you if you have a Decker Blade, alright, I'm gonna take him down. But it's just 2 weapons, so yeah. He doesn't have a lot of options beyond that.
Yeah, Guy is pretty much a weak decker, which makes him still pretty good with his item pool for the really damaging weapons against the jelly, but he's not quite as good as Decker. Like, the main thing being not being able to equip the Decker Blade, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to, like, take my time here, actually, I believe. Like I said, I believe my floor 60, 70, or 70, 80 were really bad. It's still remarkable that I did not have to fight anything up to this point.
It's kind of funny how you equip the Deadly Blades really early to fight against the Assassins, and then you didn't have to fight anything for like
Exactly.
forever.
Exactly. I killed that dragon just because, if the stairs are not in this room, I would have had to tangle with him anyways, so I thought, alright, let's do it. That's a lot of things that you have to do in this cave, are like judgment calls, where you have to like, alright, do I fight this enemy or not? Do I go in here or not? You know, and a lot of times, you know, you just gotta get lucky and the stairs are there, or there's a chest there, or, you know, the enemy will move out on its own, stuff like that. That just has to go right, basically.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a point at which, you know, you could be relatively safe and not so much like be slow, but like kind of pick up all the items and manage your inventory. But then you're not really doing a speed run anymore. It's just kind of slow, so you have to really gun it in certain areas, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Like, a lot of the times, you know, I'll get, like, in attempts, I get, like, 2 items, and then I'll just be like, alright, I'm just gonna, you know, rush down now and hope for the best, because otherwise, you know, I have no shot at beating my PB. So, yeah, let's do that. And then, if I get blocked, I can still decide, alright, I'm gonna take the slow now, I'm gonna try to survive. Whereas, you know, that's really the main challenge I'm going in with every time is like, you know, I'm going to try for PB obviously, but if I get blocked somewhere, alright, let's survive this. Let's get through this. Because, yeah, sometimes you just don't get anything at all, and then it's a real challenge to actually get through here. Which most of the time results in death for me, lately, but, ooh, nice, an old sword. The old sword is also a weapon that has an, HP dividing attack 1/6, I believe, yeah. And at the moment, that's great and all, but at the moment, I only have those. I need a pure damage weapon, like I said, Lizard Blow, Gady's Blade, something like that. Guy can actually also equip the old sword, which is good. It has at least a good.
The silver sword, I think, but I mean that's not prime. That's pretty good, but not a prime damage weapon.
Yeah, and especially not for Guy.
Yeah, he can't equip that, so a maximum will deal less damage, obviously.
Yeah. But yeah, alright, so going down from 60, once we're past 65, 65 still had a couple of annoying enemies, like the eyeballs that you might have seen, they can get in your way pretty heavily. But from here on out, there's only one more enemy that is going to be really annoying, and that are the leeches that you saw right there. They port, whenever you are far away from them, they will port to a random location on the map right here. And if you get close to them, they start moving, like every 3 steps, they won't take 1 step. And sometimes they can just corner you, and they will either bust out a powerful AoE attack or attack you physically and inflict the random status ailment, and that can end runs very, very heavily. But aside from that, we're just going to get like really big enemies from now on, which are mostly manageable unless the cave decides to put them into doors that you have to go through, in which case it could get quite annoying, but yeah.
So how does Deadly Blade work? Is it just straight up you contact, they're dead?
Yeah, you attack and you have an 80% chance to inflict instant death on them, basically. Yeah, the 80% does not always work. Like 80% should work, but it's an 80% chance. Like it's somebody actually, you know, looked at the code. It's 80%. It's all legit, even though some people don't think it is. So yeah, that's why it's so great. Enemies like leeches, sadly, they are shadow elemental and they can't be hit by instant death attacks, so they can be quite annoying that way. But yeah. Most of the enemies you can dispose of that way, which is really nice. Like I said, the only drawback is that if you don't have a Curse Lifter, you basically have a useless character for the jelly, which can come into play, actually.
It just does nothing, or?
It has 0 attack power, so, well, the Deadly Sword has like 1 attack power, but the Deadly Rod that Artie has 0 attack power, so you can't deal damage with it at all. And you'll deal like 10 damage.
The problem is, it doesn't have an IP attack, it blocks your weapon slot, and even if you have like a jewel or something, the low attack power will definitely hinder that. Like for Artie, it's usually not that horrible, because he can just use spells and deal good damage, but Maxim doesn't deal any damage with spells, so...
Yeah, especially Maxim is really, you know, held down by that. Artie really, like, we got Zap, so we're not worried about that, really. Zap will deal like 400 damage per turn, so he's pretty much set for the jelly. This is one of the more annoying things that can happen in the later floors, because you have these bigger type enemies. They can just spawn in a narrow hallway and block you, and that way, well, you will have to fight them, or, you know, at least have to manipulate them so you get a chance at running away from them and then getting past them. So that takes up either a lot of time or a lot of effort, which can be very stressful, but for now, it's not even the worst type of enemies. They are just going to come in a couple floors. Wow, this floor is especially bad.
Yeah, the thing is, these dragons are usually not that bad, but it's like every type of dragon you see here, like every different color of dragon, has like one really annoying special attack you can use, theoretically.
Yeah, the Rayo Beam attack you saw is actually the most powerful attack in the game. Fortunately, the blue dragon is a really weak enemy, though, so it won't deal that much damage, but yeah, it's quite impressive. And yeah, every dragon has an attack like that. Like the black dragons have Gloom Splash, the green dragons have Raging Wave, I believe, and so on and so forth, so yeah. But yeah, starting on 71 now, things get real. Like, those were annoying enemies, but now we're starting to get cave-exclusive enemies, like these genies, for example. These genies can either absorb, defend, or use an AoE attack. And depending on their element, there's Earth Genies, there's Water Genies, there's Wind Genies, and Flame Genies. They have the elemental attack, like Earth Genies have Ground Shock, for example. And that attack will deal like 200 damage to the whole party, and if two use it, well, you're dead. So, unless you're protected against that element. There are certain items that you can find in blue chests, for example, that will protect you against flame attacks or thunder attacks, which can be very, very helpful. But, yeah. Aside from that, and also the Fiend type enemy right there has a chance to have Archfiend in them, which get 2 attacks per turn, which is really annoying. But I mentioned earlier, those are much more manageable as long as they don't position them in front of things. Then things can get really ugly really fast.
Yeah, you can trap them kind of easily. I think they always want to align themselves with their left tile towards you.
Yeah, they always go left.
Yeah, because they are 2 tiles wide, you can actually use that to trap them on a bush or something and then just move away and they'll be stuck.
Yep. That's why these bigger enemies are easier to, you know, manipulate. Like, if those were one-tile enemies, I would like assassins or ninjas that move like 2 steps for every, you know, step you move. You would be pretty screwed on these type of floors. But as long as you don't get too close to these Fiend or Genie type enemies, I mean, they won't even, you know, move, so you're pretty good, golden on that part. Alright, smooth sailing. I still need, like, I mean, I have the old sword, but it's still not 100% guaranteed kill at this point. I'm just deciding to kill this Genie because it's just one. Like, any percent and 100%, you can choose your party freely. Like, you could, like, if you know reject percent runs, those are technically still any percent runs, just with a twist, you know? And we decided to give it a different category name. You can pick anything you want. The 100% setup, like 100% in this little minigame, is collecting all chests and killing all enemies. And for that, we do choose Salon because she does have more utility and can actually also equip a deadly weapon instead of Guy. Since you do kill everything anyways, you get so many levels that you do more damage on default, so you don't actually need Guy for 100%. Yeah, it's all by choice, Like, you could also 100% with Lexus and Tia if you really, really wanted to, but I don't encourage that. That's not a good idea. Alright, we're still looking for stuff, unfortunately. We're good on time, though. So... well, reject percent is just where I use Salon, Tia, and Lexus instead of the party I have right now, because I don't use them at any percent. That's basically what makes it reject percent. Like I said, it's still any percent, just with a little twist, so that's just a dumb category name we gave it, basically. Alright, moving along. The Fiend got stuck there on the bush, which is very nice. So at this point, it's also, like, you're always hoping, like, you see, you're always hoping that the stairs are somewhere where you can get to without fighting an enemy, so... this floor is also laid out very badly, and there's enemies in these short, you know, in these narrow hallways, and that's really, really bad, because that usually means that you have to encounter / fight at least 1 or 2 of them, which can technically mean death here at this point. The enemies are so powerful that they can, well, not these Hate Chariots, they only attack once, but they can have an Archfiend, for example, in their formation, which can just double Thunder, and then you'll die. And at this point, even if you don't die, if just 1 or 2 characters die, it's still bad for you because you have to pay attention to your IP for the jelly. So you just don't want to have a character die right here, because otherwise you'll end up farming IP later on, which will cost you time. Fortunately, we're getting relatively lucky here. I do remember this part, actually. And we do get to the stairs.
Okay, so if you approach a monster from behind, it's preemptive 100%, but if it's from the side, is it 50-50 or?
50, yep, 50. There's also, with teleporters, there's a rare case where they port into you, and then it's a 33% chance to either be a normal encounter, a preemptive for you, or a preemptive for them. So basically at that point the game just rolls, yeah. That's a very rare case though, that generally only happens in doorways, like if an enemy teleports while you're in a door, it has a chance to port onto you. Or if the room is really cluttered with other things, it can just randomly decide to port on you, but yeah.
I think opening a door also counts as a step, right? So that's an issue.
Exactly. Opening a door is a step. That's a very important thing, actually, to think about when you have enemy manipulation going on in here. Like, as long... You saw that genie didn't actually move until I went into the room. That's the case with most enemies, but some enemies will already notice you past if you didn't even enter the room. And, yeah. If you're trying to dodge a ninja, for example, and you're just entering a door, you gotta remember that he will take 4 steps instead of 2. So, that is definitely something that you gotta keep in mind. Like, this genie, once these genies, like, have focus on you, they will actually, as long as you're close enough to them, you can actually manipulate them from the other side of a room. But, yeah.
What would you say is the most annoying genie to fight? I guess Wind, because they are so fast?
Yeah. Wind genies are the most annoying. There's my Gades Blade. There is my Gades Blade. Yeah, Wind genies are definitely the most annoying, because they are so fast. You can outspeed every other genie easily, so you can actually get safety heals in or kill them before they go. But Wind genies, they will just, if they want to, they voltage bolt you twice, and you're dead. But yeah, now that I got the Gades Blade, it's a guaranteed kill, so all I want to do now, like, I have IP, all I want to do now is go down. Like, don't get in my way, I just want to go to full 100 and, you know, finish this up. And the problem with this Archfiend right here is that he can also cast Destroy, and Destroy is an instant death attack. If that hits, my IP is gone, but I got lucky here, twice, which is nice.
What are the other blue chest items?
There's a bunch of blue chest items, and there's like, I don't know, over 40, 50.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you can find a lot of weapons, different types of weapons for any character really. Notable ones are definitely stuff like the Dragon Spear for Artie, which gives you like, I think 50 agility, which is the most agility any item gives you in the game, which is obviously super useful. There's a couple of jewels, like the Twist Jewel that gives you 30 agility, which is really nice. A couple of defensive items like the Flame Shield, the Bolt Shield, which will protect against elemental attacks. And yeah, and so on and so forth. There's a big list of blue chest items that it's worth to go into the cave for. So, yeah. Really, for the jelly, there's pretty much only the Gades Blade, though. Like, you can work with the other weapons, but their IPs are not really good for dealing... they all have, like, group target IPs, so they don't focus damage on one target, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, most of the blue chest items are more for utility when going down.
Which is still very, very good. though. Like I said, it's more about survival here than anything. Alright, so we're getting blocked everywhere. That's not very fun. I'm getting really good luck with my deadlies though.
Classic Ancient Cave, you find the gate displayed, 3,000 enemies right in your face.
Yeah. I'm getting but I'm getting really good deadly luck though. Like I said, it's 80% to hit on an enemy, and I have not seen me miss yet, so that's pretty good. So yeah, you gotta pay attention. Starting on floor 88, we get an upgraded versions of Necromancers that are called Dark Summoners, that are exclusive to the Ancient Cave, and if they are behind the door and you hold up, they will just attack you and kill you. They get 2 attacks per turn, and there's a max of 4 of them in a battle, and then they can do AoE spells that deal like 90 damage to your party. And you don't have like 90 times 8 HP at this point, so you gotta be really careful with those. But yeah, we're going here for it. We're going for it here. Gotta get a little lucky on this.
It's kind of funny with the dark summoners. You kind of laugh at their bolt damage until they keep bolting you in the face until you're dead anyways, because there are so many turns.
Yeah, they are really annoying.
I mean, and even if only one character dies, your enemies, the enemies where you can farm IP on, are getting like scarcer, so you don't have that many opportunities to actually farm IP on.
Yeah, at this point it's just dragons and necromancers, and the only enemy you can farm IP on are these copper dragons. They just get 1 turn, and they have a very powerful AoE attack called Thunder Blast, which won't kill you, and you can manage, but it's still very powerful. There's also silver and gold dragons at this point, which will get 2 or respectively 3 turns, and have even more powerful AoE attacks that even one-shot you. But yeah, like I said, they have 2 and 3 turns, so they get basically 2 or 3 chances to do 1 AoE attack that kills you per turn, which, yeah. You can see that I'm super careful around these necromancers. I'm getting really good luck with the stairs here. Alright, we're almost there.
Especially around doorways and stuff, you have to be really careful with teleporters, because they might teleport into the door and you cannot see them then, because it's kind of blocked.
Yeah, so they are programmed to actually not, port onto you, but the problem is that they search for a tile, like, in a square, and there's no square in the doorway, so what ends up happening is that the game decides that they have to port onto that spot, because that's the only spot that is free for their porting range, so yeah, that's kind of bad, but it doesn't happen this run. Alright, we made it. So now all we gotta do, this is a very prime example, all we gotta do is equip the Decker Blade, the Gades Blade, check. Alright, do we have attack buffs, do we have items, rocks that increase our attack power or armor? Equip that and then go. That's all we gotta do. Like, Decker and Gades are almost a guaranteed kill. And in a normal run through of this, you're definitely not guaranteed to get anything that I got. I got so lucky in this run. That's my 3rd sub-hour run here, which is already insane in itself, because some people struggle to get sub-hour in this. But yeah, generally I have 600 attempts now in this, and I mean, like, just talking items that I got to kill the jelly, I probably would say like around 10% of the time you get what you need to kill the jelly. Maybe. And around 10% of the runs just make it to the jelly. But yeah. As you can see, Fatal Blow will deal a bunch of damage, and from there you just have Guy Octostrike, and that's game basically already.
I mean, for Ancient Cave runs, it's a lot about trading speed for safety of actually finishing the run, and since eLmaGus' time is so sick, And when he's doing a PB attempts, he skips a ton of chests, which could contain good items, but are more likely to not contain them because of how the item pool keeps on increasing. So since you pick up less chests, obviously less likely to find good items, even if you handpick the chests on the specific floors to maximize your chances of them being actually good.
Yeah. The really nice thing about this is that generally you'll end up with a setup where you want to evolve your capsule monster, which takes a long time as well. But with the Gades Blade, you just, can just go for it and then he'll just die.
On the last attack as well. GG.
Sub 50 is really crazy.
I can imagine your nerves were pretty tense at the end of that one.
I remember very clearly that I got really scared because the last zap didn't kill it already. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna deal a lot of damage after this. Hopefully I'll get enough in, but I did. So it's all good.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. But the heart rate is definitely very high. Especially, like, normally if you get so many good items on a run, like, you will get blocked or anything and you lose your time or you die somewhere, but getting this far, I was really, really nervous going into this fight, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a really cool example of like a legit alternate category in a game that uses like, the same engine as the main game and everything, but it's so radically different. It's really awesome to see. Like, yeah, a lot of people aren't playing the regular Lufia 2 right now, but Ancient Cave between you and that sack fair is pretty active, so it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of fun. Like, what I really love about this is that you get to use everything you know about the game. You get to use in this category. Like, every item could matter that you pick up, which is really, really cool in my opinion. Like, you gotta know what every weapon does, what every armor does, even what every random item you pick up does. So it's really, really cool, and a lot of fun too. Like, even though a lot of the runs fail, obviously. But it's still cool to test everything out anew every run, which, yeah.
That's great, totally. So yeah, I guess that wraps it up. Do you guys have any closing words about Lufia 2 or any shout-outs to the community you want to lay down?
I guess if we're going, Lufia 2, that's for Zach, of course, for the Ancient Cave. Pendulum, we mentioned earlier a lot for the main game. Definitely a great guy who deserves a lot more praise than he gets from, people. He has done a great deal of work for this game, so definitely shout out to Pendulum. Voltas, V-Man, who are runners for this game. V-Man especially also a guy who did a lot of theory crafting for this game. Regarding equipment and things, which is also very helpful. The Zedna, who runs the game and the Ancient Cave. And yeah, there's a whole bunch. Shadow Killer 4826 is an Ancient Cave runner. Shoutouts to him. He's also done a lot for the Ancient Cave running. And there's a bunch of Ancient Cave runners that I'm not going to mention that have done a lot of runs. So yeah, shoutouts to those guys. And I hope that a lot of people, hopefully in the future, will pick up Lufia 2.
Yeah, same. It's pretty much the repeat of what we said earlier, that this category as well, you can make it a lot safer, even though you're not guaranteed to get any items. This run showcases how fast you can actually be and speed through it, but you can even get sub 2 hours. It's not that hard. You have a lot more time to work with and actually can evolve your capsule monster and stuff. Magus did the shoutouts already. You can always check speedrun.com for all the Ancient Cave runners. I think most of them should be on there with their time.
Yeah.
And yeah, shoutouts to V-Man as well, because he also did find a lot of stuff on the Japanese version with skipping certain things and stuff. So it's pretty nice. Yeah. If you enjoy the game, think about running it. It's really great. Both of these categories are awesome.
Great. All right. I think that wraps it up. Thank you two very much for joining me. It's been a really nice episode. I learned a ton about this game, and it's really fascinating. There's a lot that goes into this game, a lot more than meets the surface, I think. So,
yeah, thank you for having us. It's always good to get this game out there.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's always nice to talk about the game with the guys here and stuff. So it's pretty cool, actually showing off the game.
Great. All right. So that wraps up this episode. The next episode we have is actually next week. Usually there's a week or two in between episodes, but end of January, early February is going to be kind of tight. So next week we have Secret of Mana with Yagamoth. So pretty excited for that episode. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time.